Do you want the exact cold calling framework I use to personally make almost $3 million a year as a W-2 straight commission salesperson? Now, I'm going to show you what not to do first, okay? Number one, we don't want to sound like everyone else that cold calls because you're not probably more than likely the only person that's ever cold called this prospect. And your prospect's brain, what happens is it picks up on, come over here for a second, it picks up on patterns. Okay, I probably spelled that wrong. Full disclosure. So picks up the pattern of what most salespeople sound like. Hi, is this John? Hi, John. My name is Jeremy Miner with XYZ Company. So if you have a monotone tonality, it picks up the pattern. Salesperson trying to sell me something. If you're too enthusiastic, like you're overboard, like, hey, how's it going? They pick up on that because that sounds like most salespeople. Or if you sound timid, if you sound like you have anxiety, nervousness, that triggers our nervous system to go into fight or flight mode. So you don't want to do that, okay? So you don't want to say, hi, my name is, I'm with XYZ Company. The reason why I called you was salesperson. Or, hi, is this John? Hey, John, this is Jeremy Miller with XYZ Company. Hey, just full disclosure, this is a sales call or this is a cold call, but I've got something really important to you and I'll take 2 minutes of your time. And then if you're not interested, we don't have to continue. Or some version of that. I hear that a lot on reels and stuff like that. That's what most people do. Your prospects recognize, their brain recognizes that pattern. So I have to interrupt their pattern, okay? So I'm going to show you what that is. That is the skills game, okay? So how do I trigger curiosity in the prospect's mind that causes them to want to engage, okay? How do I interrupt their pattern? A lot of that is my tonality. I want to have a familiar tone. And sometimes in certain contexts, a little bit of a confused tone. Not that I'm confused, I'm 105 and I've got dementia confused, like you don't know what you're talking about, but confused if you're talking to the right person, or maybe this might not be the right person to talk to. I'll show you that in a second. That's a little bit of a different confused tone there. All right, let me show you an example of this. Now, right here, I want you to take a screenshot of this framework, right? So this is the exact framework I used. So I sold in 4 completely different industries, 2 business to consumer and 2 business to business, okay? So in my business to business career, had to do a lot of cold calling, had to master how to pen up. This is the exact format I used. And this is the exact format we use when we train every single industry on the planet that cold calls, including your industry, okay? Now, I'm never going to say, hi, is John there? Or is this John? Or is this Mary? Because why? That implies I'm a stranger that I don't know them. I'm just going to go right in. Hey, John, it's Jeremy. Jeremy Miner? Okay. Hey, I'm just going to go right into their name like I already know them. Okay. Hey, Mary, it's Jeremy. Jeremy Miner with XYZ Company. Now look here. What am I doing right here? It's Jeremy Miner. That sounds like a what? Like I'm familiar, like she should already know me. All I'm doing is interrupting the pattern in her brain, okay? Now, am I doing that to her or am I doing that for her? Well, I'm doing that for her because if I trigger sales resistance, if I can't interrupt her pattern in her brain, if I trigger sales resistance, guard goes up, not interested, I can't solve her problems, can I? So I have to do that for her. I'm interrupting your pattern for her, okay? This is just psychology. This is how psychology does. A really good psychologist does with a patient that needs help. Got to interrupt the pattern, okay? Hey, Mary, it's Jeremy Miner with XYZ Company. I'm holding a copy of your blank. I was wondering if you could possibly help me out for a moment. Now, see that confused tone at the end. Holding a copy of your blank. Now, this is important. Depending on what you sell, you're going to plug that in. So let's say if I sold to, let's say if I'm a real estate agent and I'm calling expired listings, okay? I might say, I'm holding a copy of the MLS from 3 months ago with your home at 55 Willow Lane. I was wondering if you could possibly help me out for a moment. See how I'm triggering what? Curiosity. Oh, who is this again? What did you mean about our home? That's all I'm doing. I'm triggering curiosity. Or let's say if I work for a marketing agency and I'm calling a business. Yeah, I'm on page 6 of your VSL where you were talking about XYZ. I was wondering if you could help me out for a moment. Which VSL? What are you talking about? See, I'm triggering curiosity. I'm interrupting the pattern, okay? Right here, this is a verbal pause here. It's Jeremy Miner with XYZ Company. Now, in her mind, all that does is what? Who's Jeremy Miner? How do I know Jeremy Miner? Have I met him somewhere? He sounds familiar. It's hard for him or her to say, who is this? And be rude. Very hard. I'm interrupting the pattern, okay? Now, right after that, this is important because they're all going to say, Yeah, sure. What's going on? Or who is this again? Whatever it is. And then I'm going to go right into this because now I got to kind of push them away a little bit. I have to get them to let their guard down. If I can't get their guard down, going to be hard to open them up. Okay. And move forward. So right then, sure, go ahead. Well, I'm not even sure if it makes sense for us to talk yet. That might be an opener. Or I might say, well, I'm not even sure if you're the right person I should be talking to. I called to see like who would be responsible in your company for looking at like any possible hidden gaps in your blank that could be causing you guys to blank. Okay, now what am I doing here? Okay, so first here, this is kind of a confused tone. Like I'm not quite sure we should be talking yet, or I'm not quite sure you're the right person I should be talking to. See, that's how I'm confused. Okay, that brings people in that context, okay? And then I'm saying right here, I called to see who would be responsible. Now, why do I say responsible? So if I'm calling a company, even if I know that that's the right department head, okay, I'm still going to say that because it's really hard for that person to say, oh, I'm not responsible for that. That's Jim. It's very hard to do that if you do this right. Yeah, I called to see who would be the person responsible in your company, or I could say department, for looking at any possible like hidden gaps in. Now, why would I say possible? I'm not going to assume here. Look, do I know I can help them? Yes. Does the prospect know I can help them in the first 30 seconds of a cold call? No, I have zero trust and credibility. I have to build that gap first before I can get more assumptive. So right now, I'm being more neutral. I'm downplaying it. Any possible like hidden, now why do I say hidden gaps? It's just a word that typically triggers curiosity. Well, hold on, what do you mean by hidden gaps? Hidden gaps in your blank that could be causing you to, what's the consequence? Okay. Any possible hidden gaps in the way your firm is doing your taxes that could be causing you guys to be forced to overpay the IRS? Who should I be talking to about something like that? Hey guys, Jeremy Miner here. Look, a lot of you leave comments wanting me to help you sell more. So the easiest way to get a hold of me, the quickest way, is to text me. So text me right now. It's 480-637-2944. So 480-637-2944. Listen, I started this company to help you learn how to close more deals, but do it the right way. Text me right now. Let's get back to the training video. Now, at the end, I'm saying, who should I be talking to about that? Like I'm confused. Okay, does that make sense? All right. All right, that is the framework. Now let me show you an example, like an industry specific example. Let's say if I sold SaaS and let's say I sold some type of AI device to bigger hospitals. Okay, just look at the format and I'll show you how to do it for yours. Bigger hospitals that basically dictate the notes automatically. The average doctor in a hospital, typically it takes them about 90 minutes to 2 hours each day to manually dictate the notes. They have to do that because if they do it wrong, insurance companies won't pay them on time, which is a no bueno, not good. And second of all, they could prescribe the wrong medication, patient could die. So doctors have to spend a lot of their day doing that. Now, if they're spending 2 hours a day manually dictating their notes, that means they're having to do it later at night, so they're not seeing their family, they're getting burned out, or they're doing it at work hours, that means they see less patients, less billable hours, hospitals make less money, okay? So this solves that. So I'm looking at the same thing. All right, so let me show you this works, okay? John, it's Jeremy Miller with XYZ Company. I'm on I'm looking at some online reviews from some of your previous doctors that used to work there. And I was wondering if you could possibly help me out for a moment. See how I'm serious there. Sure, yeah, what's going on? Well, and I'm not even sure who I should be talking to. I called to see like who would be the person, I guess, over at the hospital responsible for like helping the doctors, like, I don't know, like reduce their time they're being made to like dictate their notes that might be preventing them from seeing more patients where the hospital like loses like billable hours. Like who should I be talking to about something like that? Okay, this is what I did for helping the doctors reduce their time they're being made to dictate their notes. And then I'm going to repeat back the negative consequence that might be preventing them from seeing more patients where the hospital like has like less billable hours like per doctor. Who should I be talking to about that? See, all I'm doing there, okay, preventing them from seeing more patients, right? That's the problem. And what's a consequence of the problem? The hospital gets less billable hours. So they're losing money because the doctors don't see as many patients. This solves that. Okay, that's all I did. Okay, I'll show you one more frame here real quick. Okay, so let's say if I call distressed properties, let's say if I'm a real estate investor, okay, I'm selling to consumers, I'm calling distressed properties where maybe they're going through a divorce, maybe they're about to lose the house. I can take it off their hands for a discounted rate, flip it, make some money, all that kind of stuff. Same thing, okay? Look at the pattern interrupt. I'm holding a copy of your blank. So you can go to ChatGPT, you can plug in like could you hold in your hand that would have something to do with problems that you solve or consequences that you prevent that would trigger the prospect to be curious about it. Like, well, what do you mean? Or how did you get that? Okay. So if I'm calling distressed properties, I can go pretty much in any county in the United States and print off their tax records of the house. So if I say I'm holding a copy of your property taxes on your home at 55 Willow Lane, I was wondering if you could possibly help me out for a moment. They're like, oh, that's instantly going to trigger them to be like, oh, what do you mean by my property tax? Nobody's gonna be like, not interested, okay? They just can't do that. So think about what you sell. What could you hold in your hand, a document that would trigger curiosity, has something to do with what you solve or consequences you prevent, okay? I could show you for every industry. I'll give you our number here to text us if you have questions, right? So I'm just going to go in the name. Sally, yeah, it's Jeremy, Jeremy Miller. I'm holding a copy of your property taxes there, your home there at, I think it's the 55 Willow Lane in Savannah. I was wondering if you could possibly help me out for a moment. Sure, yeah, well, what's going on? Well, and I'm not even sure if it makes sense for us to talk. I represent a group of buyers who are, they're purchasing like 6 or 7 different properties in that 4-block area where your Willow Lane home is at. After they looked at your property, the taxes, they had me reach out to see if you guys would be against, maybe having a brief conversation about maybe getting an offer on that property. Would you be opposed to having a brief conversation on that? See, at the end, I'm going to change it up a little bit. Okay. So look what I'm doing. Calling to see if you would be against, hard for them to be against something. What's a safe word on a cold call that prospects want to use? The word no. You're against. It's hard to say yes, I'm against. Having a brief conversation around possibly getting an offer on that home. Would you be opposed to that? Hard for them to say, yes, I'd be opposed. You don't want to say open. Would you be open? Because now yes is a dangerous word for them. They don't like to say the word yes. They're more comfortable with to use the word no. And no in this context is really a yes for you. Do you see what I'm doing there? See, I'm pushing them back. Well, I'm not even sure if it makes sense for us to talk. See, I'm kind of pushing them away. I'm neutral, I'm biased. I represent a group of buyers. They're purchasing, see, I'm slowing down. They're purchasing I want to say it's like 5 or 6 different properties in that 5-block area there by your Willow Lane house. And after they went through your tax records, they had us reach out to see if you'd be, hey, I don't know, maybe against possibly having a brief conversation about maybe getting an offer on the home. Would you be opposed to that? Okay. See what I'm doing there. Okay. Now, if you have questions, you're like, how do I do this for my industry? Best way to reach us is just text us, okay? This is a number we keep open for you for questions, 480-637-2944. Give us a day or two. Sometimes it takes us a few days to get back to you. Be patient. And what's your next step? Hit the subscribe button because you're committed to mastery. And you know what? I mean, you're smart. You know, as a salesperson, what's the number one thing that determines how much your company is going to pay you? It's your skill level, right? And so because you're smart, you know you got to get better. We always got to get better at sales and persuasion. So hit the subscribe button. Just don't share it with your competition. I can assure you, you don't want them learning what I'm going to show you on this channel. So go ahead and text us, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next training.